Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of Hobby Table where I show off, well, show you, don't show off, but I show you what I've been doing project-wise, hobby-wise, crafting-wise since the previous episode. And I have to admit, since the last episode, I haven't actually done any painting. It's been too long. I need to get some painting done for the next episode. But in this episode, we are focusing on some 3D printing that I did. And it is featuring the Tome of Demons 3 by Archvillain Games. Now, this was the Patreon release for January 23, but as of February, it is now free for purchase by everyone. So everybody can now download these miniatures. And I was actually quite excited with this release because it was a week, possibly a week and a half before they showed us the preview pictures that I actually ordered. And I don't order a lot of physical books, but I actually ordered Frostgrave Ghost Archipelago. I actually ordered this, and like I say, I don't normally order a lot of books, especially hardbacks, because of the shipping cost, but it was like a Christmas, New Year, a little thrift for me, a little bit of spending for me. So I ordered this, and literally a week and a half later, Archvillain Games put up the preview for this Tome of Demons Volume 3, and the miniatures are perfect. They are perfect for this, for any kind of Latin American, Mesoamerican, Incan, Aztec kind of theatre of game or theme of game. So, yeah, I was actually quite excited, and I've printed off a good range of the figures from the set. However, I don't normally print off the big figures. And in this set, Tome of Demons 3, the big figure was Kagon, the aspect of Demogorgon. Now, Demogorgon is a name that a lot of role players or Dungeons and Dragons players will definitely recognize. I can't print that out. It's way too big. I just don't have the storage for those centerpiece figures that that companies like Archvillain put out, you know. But I've actually printed out at least one of everything else, again, so that I can use in my Ghost Archipelago games and also for other games. So as I did with I think it was the Ungaroth from Bestiarum, I'm hoping that by showing you these figures in the flesh, so to speak, you're going to get a better idea in terms of what the figures are rather than just looking at renders. So I can't show you Kagon, unfortunately. I will put up pictures of the actual figures when I don't actually have the figures to hand, but I will show you the rest. Let's look at the first one. All right, the first figure that I actually printed out is actually the biggest one of the set that I did, and this is a Teraton Vulduk. Yeah, it's a Teraton duck. But if it reminds you of a certain other miniature from a certain other company, then it should be a good indication as to what I'm probably going to end up using this for. It's going to be the Baron of Not the Same, if you get my drift. But this miniature could definitely proxy in... Again, I'm going to have to use my hand. This is a big miniature. This is definitely going to be my proxy for a certain demon lord thingamybobby. Now, as you can see, I do actually have... Well, I haven't finished yet, but I'm actually sculpting a bit here because I did have a little bit of a pancake on this section here during the actual printing. I'll put some pictures up so you can see what the problem was. But I think I'm about 60%, maybe 50% sort of sculpting what wasn't printed. Also, I had a little bit of problem actually fitting it to the base. So there's a little bit of green stuff there you can see in terms of me sort of filling in the gaps when I was trying to fit it to the base. Now, this model came in, let me think, the base, the torso, and two wings with arms. So it came actually as 4 pieces. Printing it wasn't too bad, but like I say, I did have a bit of a pancake problem here. But yeah, I mean, I love this. I love this model. And there are 4 different poses that you can print out when you get this STL. 4 different designs of this. I went for the one which had the 2 heads. You can see he's kind of he's obviously had an argument with the other head and he's trying to throttle the other head here. But yeah, there are 4 different poses that you can print out. But this one was the one that was most like that not Lord of Stability. You know what I mean. But yeah, I also had a problem with one of these sort of spears coming out of the base that broke off while I was cleaning, while I was breaking off the supports. That did break. I also had a little bit of a problem with this head. There was a couple of, I think you can see them here on this head. You've got a couple of, they're not horns, they're just sort of extensions from the helmet part. Again, when I was cleaning up the supports, they broke off of this head, both of them. So I need to maybe add a little bit of tough resin to my mix to maybe reduce the chance of breakage. But it's a really nice model. And it has, like I say, really nicely designed and detailed wings. It has like tentacle design. Now this is something that you'll find fairly common in this set. Is this tentacular, is that the word? Tentacle aspect to the design. You'll find this on a bunch of models in this set. Tentacles all coming out the back. But yeah, it's a really nice figure. What about scale? What about size? Well, this is printed at 100%. If I put it next to, let's see, there's a GW Kroot. We have a Copplestone Trooper. And what else have we got here? A Rackham Droon. You can see he's a pretty hefty size. And like I say, I'm going to use him in, well, to be honest, I don't actually play Games Workshop much these days. I just can't afford it. But, 40k, fantasy, whatever. 1-page rules, I'm going to start getting into at some point. I can definitely see this as being some kind of demon lord of a certain aspect. Let's have a look in terms of scale a little bit closer. You can see here. Again, he's a hefty size model. Doesn't want to focus, never mind. But you can get an impression as to how big this thing is. I mean, the Kroot comes up to just over his knee. Yeah. But the model that I didn't print, the centerpiece model, Kagon, dwarfs this. But I just don't have space to put it. I'm going to have trouble fitting this into my cabinet. But this is a Teraton. Now, again, Teraton, according to Archvillain Games, is a demon plane. But this is a Teraton Vulduk. And this is one of 4 different poses. I really like this one. All right, the second miniature that I printed out from the Tome of Demons Volume 3 set was this Teraton Shumba. Another demon from the Teraton plane. Now, this is a pretty big model, yeah? Again, I'll bring out the Kroot. I'll bring out the Kroot as a scale. Now, here's the thing. This is a pretty hefty model. I've based him on, I think it's a 40mm base. 1 second. Let me just check. Yep, it's on a 40mm base. The thing is, this is actually supposed to be on a 50mm base. This is printed at 80%. So, it's supposed to be bigger. Yeah, he's supposed to be bigger than this. But when I was doing the slicing and starting to do the supports for this, I kind of looked at it and I looked at the dimensions and went, nah, I think that's a bit too big. I think I want it to be a little bit smaller than that. To be honest, I think it's still a bit too big for what I kind of envision it to be. But yeah, apparently this is like a hunter on the plains of Teraton. And they normally work in pairs, so I may have to print another one out. But I love this. It's like a lion's body with tentacle tails and some kind of, I don't know, was that a baboon? A baboon's head? I love it. And the bases for these ones are quite big. Again, you can get 4 different poses for this, 4 different designs, different looks for these Shumba. And this is the one I picked. Really, really nice. Again, I had a little bit of a problem fitting it to the base. The feet didn't quite match up with where they're supposed to go. You can see there where I used the resin to kind of weld it in place. It wasn't an exact fit, so I don't know whether there was an issue when I scaled it down. I did scale both the base and the creature, and the tentacles actually. The tentacles are actually a separate part. I did scale everything to 80%, but I don't know. But I love it. I love this model. I really do like these ones. And I can actually see myself making another one of these, a different pose. But really, really nice. So this is the Teraton Shumba, a large fiend, chaotic evil of course, in D&D. Really, really nice design. Now, I should note that Archvillain normally release a 5e adventure with each of these releases. So there is a adventure pack for this release which features the models in the set. And it comes with full stat blocks and descriptions and all the information you need to actually run these in D&D games. I do wish that, especially with how Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have been behaving, I do wish that maybe Archvillain released the adventures in other formats as well. I think Bestiarum do it in 5e and, if I remember correctly, Forbidden Psalm. I mean, I would love to see the adventures from Archvillain kind of move away from 5e simply because of what they've been doing recently. Morkborg would be a good idea. Savage Worlds could also be a nice little thing. Forbidden Psalm also for the more sort of tabletop rather than role-playing elements. But yeah, we can hope. We can hope. The world does not revolve around 5e and Games Workshop. Right, next up we have the Teraton, yet another Teraton. There's a lot of demons in this Tome of Demons set. This is the Teraton Tamareth. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird model, this one, but it's great. I love it. It's like a serpent, centaur, monkey thing. Let's see if we can get it into focus. There we go. So it's a large serpent, maybe with, it looks like it has maybe some kind of exoskeleton. But at the top, it splits into 2, which then has 4 armed monkey bodies. Come on, you going to focus or not? Come on, focus. I love it. It's just so weird. I think this is brilliant. Again, there are 4 different designs for this. What's it called? Tamareth. But again, I picked the one that I liked the most. I had a bit of trouble fixing it to the base. It didn't want to fit into the slots again. I don't know. It seems to be a common problem that the bases and the slots that are provided don't perfectly match up. With this model, I also had a little bit of an issue here. It wasn't exactly pancaking, but it was like, instead of being a solid piece, it was like looking at a ream of paper with lots and lots of thin layers kind of separated. So I had to put some resin here to kind of fill in the gaps between those little sort of layers of resin that went there. I don't know whether it's another problem with supports, because apparently the pancake problem is a support problem. I think maybe that was as well. Now I do, from previous experience, I don't just use the supplied pre-supports. Because the thing is, when you look at the pre-supported files on the slicer, it looks well done, and I check it, and I don't see any islands, and there's a lot of supports, but I tend to still have problems. So what I normally do is I take the pre-support file and I just add extra, where I think I need maybe a little bit of extra structure, not necessarily to prevent islands, but maybe in terms of to prevent supports coming off, to provide a bit of strength if the model's a little bit big. So, but yeah, on the, what's it called, the Vulduk, and this one, I think these were the only two where I actually had problems. The other models were fine, but yeah, I love this. I really do like this. I can see this as, like I say, some kind of demon. I don't know, maybe you could use this in some kind of Indian subcontinent game. You've got the whole multi-arm thing aspect, like some of the Indian gods, maybe. But again, it's a really, really nice model. I really do like this. Again, there are 4 different designs, 4 different poses. Yeah, very unique in terms of its look. But be careful with the weapons. The weapons are very, very fragile. I mean, I shouldn't say anything, but I think I'm very grateful that I haven't actually broken anything off this one yet. But it's really, really nice. So this is the Teraton Tamareth. Scale. Okay, let me show you the scale. Right, bring in the Kroot. Bring in the Kroot. Right, the Kroot is here. So in terms of scale, again, it's not a small model. It's a pretty chunky model. I mean, the monkey heads, the humanoid torsos are about the same size. Sorry, it's not in focus, is it? It doesn't want to focus. But yeah, I mean, it's in line with sort of GW models in terms of scale. So there you go. Right, on to the next. Right, this is actually the first model that I printed, because this is the one that really caught my eye when I got the set from the Patreon, from Archvillain Games. And this is a, oh my god, how am I going to say this? Qyintakla Abomination. So this, again, in the adventure that comes with this set, this is not actually a demon. It's like a tribesperson who has mutated. I think these guys are like the clerics, the leaders of the community. But yeah, when I first got the set, this is the model that really caught my eye to begin with. I love it. I love the pose. The pose is very similar to one I did previously in another set. And the skull mask and the tentacle. Again, I told you there were tentacles. Tentacles coming out the back. The whole Aztec feel and the weapon. I love it. I love it. I love it. This is on I think this is a 50mm base. And again, really, really nice design. And again, once again, there are 4 different poses. But this is the one that I preferred. Really, really nice model. Again, I can see a lot of use for this. Possibly as a demon champion. Possibly as some kind of chaos lord, some chaos warrior lord. Yeah, really, really nice. I love it. I love it. I love it. So this is the Abomination. And again, in the adventure, these are not demons. These are another faction. I'm not going to spoil too much in case you guys either have, or you're going to purchase the adventure, or you're going to play the adventure. So let me just say that he's not a demon. He's not associated with, what's his name? Kagon. But I love this model. I love this miniature. I've seen some people paint this. It looks amazing. It really does. Some of the paint jobs of this are absolutely amazing. Now, so far I've been showing you some pretty large models. Sort of base size of 40, 50mm. Let's take a look at some of the sort of normal sized figures. The normal sort of 30mm, 25mm base. Right, now these are some of the smaller models. Now in this set there are not a lot of smaller models. The majority of the models in this set are large, you know, demons, large. But there are some smaller figures. This is the first one. These are the Quasits. The Teraton Quasits. So these kind of look like demon monkeys. And in Ghost Archipelago, maybe these could be used as screamer monkeys, possibly. But yeah, in the set, there are 4 poses. I've printed off all 4 because they're smaller. And they are quite amazing. And they all come with their own base. This guy, I think I should have based a little bit further forward. He looks like he's leaning backwards a little bit. And I had a little bit of problem with this guy actually staying in place as I was resin welding. So you'll see that the resin kind of went a little bit haywire. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of scraping and filing on that resin there around his feet. Little gorilla head at the bottom of the base look. And like I say, these are Quasits. There are 4 different designs. This is one. Again, be careful with the tails, yeah? Can be very delicate, can break very easily. And the bases are brilliant. I really do like, one of the things I really like about Archvillain Games, as well as everything else, is the bases. The bases are just amazing. They remind me a lot of, what's the company? Skybor? They used to do, or they still do, a lot of really nice bases with sort of ruins and carvings and stuff. I think these are on a sort of similar level. I really do like these. I can definitely see just printing out the bases to use with other models. Really nice. So that's the first Quasit. We've got another one here, again, with his own dedicated base. Again, be careful with the weapons and the tails. Really nice. Third one. This one's a little bit of a pain to mount on the base because he's like sliding down the side of a trunk. Yeah, so you got to be a little bit careful fixing this guy to the base. You're basically fixing the side of his thigh onto the trunk. Again, I used too much resin here, unfortunately. I'm still working on that. Yeah, really nice one. And then the fourth one, the fourth Quasit has a mega base. The base is 3 times the size of him. Look at this. He's got a tree as a base. Again, I think I used a bit too much resin to actually assemble him to the base, but yeah, really, really nice design. Again, be careful with the tails. I want focus. There you go. Very, very nice designs. Now, what about in terms of scale? Well, again, let's bring out Mr. Kroot. Mr. Kroot! In terms of scale, I think this guy's probably going to be the best to show you scale-wise. It doesn't want to focus. There you go. So, again, about humanoid size, about medium size, I suppose you would call it. These were printed at 100%. The only model in this set that I didn't print at 100% was that Shumba, the sort of lion, monkey, tentacle tail thing. That was printed at 80%, but everything else is 100%. So these are Quasits. I'm thinking screamer monkeys or maybe some kind of minor demon for Ghost Archipelago. But I'm definitely going to go find a use because they do have that Mesoamerican or Aztec sort of look to them. Very, very nice. Okay, the last miniatures from the Tome of Demons Volume 3 set that I printed out were the, again there's that word, Qyintakla Corrupted Hunters. So these are like the basic troops, the human troops, that go along with this guy. So this guy's kind of like the tribal leader. And then these bods are kind of like his troops. Now, in Ghost Archipelago, the Frostgrave version, these could very easily be used as tribal warriors. I do actually have a box of Aztecs from, I want to say War Games Atlantic. They are ordered, they're on their way, and I was thinking of using these guys as the leaders of those Aztec warrior troops, the basic figures, because because these guys are mutated. They've got tentacles and claws and God knows what else. And again, they're really nice designs. Definitely with that kind of Aztec feel, the Mesoamerican feel. Really, really nice. Now, these are on 25mm bases. So again, in terms of scale, before we look at the other ones, let's bring out Mr. Kroot so we can have a look. So in terms of scale, I need 3 hands. Is he going to focus? There you go. So it's a little bit smaller than the Kroot, but it's still okay, still within scale. Sort of heroic 28s or 30mm scales, fine. So again, there are 4 poses for these corrupted hunters. I printed out all 4 because they're smaller. This is the second one. Again, really, really nice. Loads of tentacles and horns and spikes. Third design, got 2 heads and snakes for arms. I mean, these would be pretty good as Chaos Mutants. And then the 4th one, I mean, he looks like some kind of leader, but yeah, really nice. But that staff, yeah, I can see that staff breaking maybe when I do the painting. Again, a really, really nice figure. So these are the models I printed out for the Archvillain Games Tome of Demons Volume 3. I printed out 4 of the Hunters, 4 of the Quasits, basically all of them. And then for the other creatures, the larger creatures, I printed out 1 of each, my favourite of the 4 of each. And Kagon, I'm sorry, but he's just too big. I can't store him. I just won't have any space for him. But yeah, like I say, Archvillain Games, with these releases, with their monthly releases, they also come out with an adventure which uses the models. But like I mentioned earlier, I do wish that they would actually bring out for other systems as well, not just 5e. And again, especially with what Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro have been doing recently, and also Games Workshop, I really wish that we would have other options. You know, I mean, Mork Borg would be amazing for these figures, to be very honest. So, I mean, that's what I've been doing. There is one other figure that I printed out because when I did all of these, I did have space for one more large figure. So it's from a previous Archvillain Games set. I think it was from 2 or 3 months ago. Let me quickly show you that and then we'll wrap up the video. Now, you may recognize these guys from a previous episode of Hobby Table. Again, I have just... Oh, come on, focus. I just haven't had a chance to paint these guys up. I really want to, but, you know, real life. But yeah, these are the penguins or the penguins or whatever that I printed out before. Love these models. These are amazing. Well, the other model that I printed out last month is actually from the same set. It's this blooming thing here. This is, oh God, what is this called? This is called an Odoben Doomseeker. Odoben, is it? Odoben Doomseeker. It's basically a walrus character. Some kind of humanoid walrus. He's brilliant. I love him. And again, 4 different poses. This is the one I chose to do. He is actually hollow. He's so big that he's actually hollow, which caused a bit of an issue in terms of, you know, curing him inside as well. And he's a lot bigger than I was expecting. I really didn't realize how big he was when I was printing this guy out. But he's brilliant. I love him. The detail is brilliant. The print came out nice and sharp. I think this one I printed on my... I think this was the Halo 1 Plus. Or was it the Pro? Which one have I got? What have I got? Have I got a Halo 1 Pro or Halo 1 Plus? I've got the Plus. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what I printed this out at. But again, really, really nice. And he's so big. I mean, compared to a penguin, he's big. That's a 50mm base. He's big. He's a big one. Compared to a Kroot, let's get our friendly Kroot out here. Krooty Kroot. There you go, for scale. Now, if you don't play RPGs, I honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know what you could use this figure for. I'm pretty sure I can find something in one-page rules, some army list that has that could be proxied with walrus men and penguins. But I just loved it, and like I say, I had space on the plate, the build plate, when I was doing all the demons, so I actually added this as well. But yeah, he's a lot bigger than I was expecting. I love this. Like I say, I'm really looking forward to painting these. It's hard for me to find the time at the moment. What else? What else do we need to talk about? Well, there is another thing. As I was printing out those demons with the kind of Aztec, Incan, sort of Central American vibe, I did actually think of another figure that I'd got in a Kickstarter a while back, years ago. And the Kickstarter was for Dorado and the, oops, knocking over all my paints, the Inferno supplement. Now, this was a Kickstarter that I think I went quite heavily into this. Got a bunch. I got the rule books. I got all the cards. I got a whole bunch of figures. I mean, this is when shipping was, manageable to this part of the world. Couldn't do it these days. But I remembered as I was printing out the demons that I showed you just now, I kind of remembered that I did actually get one of the figures from Dorado on that Kickstarter that could fit as well. And that was the Quetzalcoatl. Again, my pronunciation's terrible. I do apologize. But this is basically like a gorilla, an Aztec gorilla. I'll put some pictures up here. Here's his card for Dorado. Again, I don't know whether you can see it. Probably can't focus there. So I've got, like I said, I've got all the cards and everything. And where's the miniature? Hang on one sec. So yeah, it's still in this form. It's still in plain metal, unassembled. It hasn't even been cleaned yet. But again, this is another model that I can definitely see possibly being used in my games of Ghost Archipelago, which will be coming. Oh, I don't know when. My schedule is so packed. But I want to get some games of that Ghost Archipelago on. But again, this could be another miniature that I actually use. I'm going to try and do Ghost Archipelago as a solo. So I'll probably try and use the sort of general Frostgrave solo rules. And yeah. So I mean that's just a little bit extra things that I was thinking of as I was printing out all those demons. I did remember that I did have one from Dorado that kind of also fit the theme. But yeah, I mean that's really all I've been doing last month. I've had so many other things on the go. I do apologise. I haven't painted anything. I'll have to try and get some painting done this month. But I have been busy prepping for other games, for other videos, and like I say, real life has also stepped in a little bit. But yeah, I hope this video has been of interest. I hope that by seeing the actual figures in the flesh, resin, it kind of gives you a better idea in terms of what you're getting in the set from Archvillain Games, and hopefully will bring you one step closer to buying them, because I really do think they are amazing models. Like I say, at the moment I can only afford 2 Patreons. I can only afford to pay for 2 Patreons because I don't have a lot of money, unfortunately. And Archvillain Games is one and Bestiarum is the other. There are so many other Patreons that I want to subscribe to. I just don't have the money. I would love to subscribe to Lord of the Print, to One Page Rules, Puppets War. There's a lot. There's a whole bunch that I would really like to. Is it Atlan Forge is another one. I just don't have the money, unfortunately. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, guys, thank you very, very much for watching. I hope this has been of interest. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. So until then, take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Cheers.